Hey, you guys, welcome to another Patreon exclusive episode of The Litter Box.
Hi.
Hey, you guys, welcome to another Patreon exclusive episode of The Litter Box. I'm Brian Powell. That's Desra the Magician.
It is.
Why do I keep calling him the Magician? Desra the Strange, Desra.
Desra just Des.
It's Des.
Or Scott. Oh, whatever.
It's way less exciting.
So it's weird. Amanda, now just drops into calling me Des at home. And every time she does, she's like, why did I do that? Yep. It's you people. You've done it to her.
You've affected Dez's relationship with his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In only positive ways.
Let's hope so. Right? She next thing you know, she runs off with Niculo. I
wouldn't blame her.
There are worse people to run off with.
Absolutely.
I would run off with Niculo. Nick Milo, the game cat. Yeah, he was watching. He said to say hi to you.
Oh, hi.
He was watching sports.
Okay.
Is Sparks a team? The Sparks?
Sparks?
I don't know. Maybe that's not what it was.
Okay. Well, there's the Detroit Shock. That's the WNBA team.
I don't know. He was watching a game.
Okay.
And he was like, "I'm watching this team."
Yeah.
And he was drunk.
Okay.
I don't know.
So why did that come up?
Because I was like, I'd love to stick around and poke you while you're drunk.
Oh.
But Des is coming over.
Oh.
Just say hi to Des.
Okay. Oh, just now. I see.
See how that works?
Hi, Nick.
Yeah.
All right.
It was like a week ago, man. We deal with moment-to-moment stuff around here.
I was going to say, yeah, so by the time this airs, even he won't have any idea what we're talking about.
I mean,
yeah.
This could air tonight. I still don't think he'd have any idea because I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. We thought it was time to talk to you guys about what's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
We didn't do a Litter Box episode last week because, Jesus Christ, this place was basically burned to the ground last week.
Yes. Yeah. The shit hit the literal fan, and now I'm looking at some of the new fans that we got because of that. So, hooray.
Dude, so my computer shit the bed last week.
Yes.
It's always had issues since day one. I built this computer. I spent a fortune on it not last year, years and years ago.
Yeah.
I built it, and from day one, there was just something wrong with it. It would crash, blue screen all the time. Those error codes are useless. So I always try to figure out what was wrong with it. Eventually, I was just there'd be a good boot. Sometimes it would boot and just everything would go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just cross your fingers and hope for a good boot and then leave it on for weeks.
Yeah.
Because man, it's while it's working good, it's just don't fuck with it. And so that's what I've been dealing with. And so editing an episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR took way longer than it should because the computer just fucking crashed halfway through.
Yeah.
And you go well, how much did I lose? Had I been saving it every 3 seconds? No. Okay, I'm screwed. And then on top of that, it would take 6.5 hours to render that, which now it only takes about an hour, which is really nice.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
It's 6 times more powerful than the old PC.
Ooh.
It better be. Jesus Christ. So new computer up and running. Everything's great. I had a death in the family. My aunt passed away last week, and my entire family, we went down to. So when she was dying, we get the text, and my whole family, we all met up and we all jumped in a car and we tried to make it down to the Cape before she passed away, and we didn't make it. Right? It's a 2.5 hour drive. We got an hour in, and it's we didn't make it. So oh, what do we do? So we just we turned around because it was too late.
Right.
And so and I'm telling you guys this for a reason, right? Because the Cape is kind of far, and with traffic, it's really far.
Yeah.
And then traditional Italian funeral is a 2-day thing. So I mean, as as much as I'm telling you this not because I'm somebody close to me died.
Yeah.
It's true, but man, as far as my scheduling is concerned, this took 3 days out of my life.
Yeah.
And for 3 days to come out of the without parole schedule, it's fucking detrimental to the channel.
Yeah.
And I think everybody kind of saw that last week.
Right.
Right. And then on top of that, the computer had just crashed in forever, a few days before that. And I was just I feel like giving up. I can't get caught back up.
But I just love the fact we had this mental, emotional, existential crisis moment. Okay, we're past that. We're ready to move on. Let's go and attack. Oh no, everything physical is going to fall apart.
Yeah. So it was a very trying week.
Yeah.
And I'm basically back up and running better than ever, I think. I lost a ton of stuff. Accidentally basically deleted a 5 terabyte hard drive. So a lot of these shows are I had to rebuild from scratch.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm basically back up and running, doing pretty well. And on top of that, before we get into your news, AJ AJ just sent me some
AJ.
preliminary. We're getting him up and running as far as like being an editor is concerned.
Okay.
Because he's really good about playing games and doing tips and guides and all that stuff. But he's really taken to this whole reviewer role pretty well too.
Cool.
So he's got a review that's on its way, and he sent me a rough cut, and it's like really looking good and sounding good. And so we're really getting him to a place that he needs to be at.
Great.
And I'm very, very excited about all of it.
Excellent.
Yeah. And you've had quite an interesting week as well.
Yeah. So those of you who've been watching for a while have probably been annoyed by my constant references to needing money and needing a job and not having a job and all that stuff. Well,
It's like the without parole way.
yeah. Turns out I've got one now. All I have to do is basically sign in my my official acceptance, but pretty shortly I'll be working for SoftBank Robotics.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very exciting.
So you got a daily trip to Boston now.
There is that, yeah, and that's actually that's what I have up right here. So yeah, I'll be
schedule, by the way.
I'll be commuting into Boston, which is crazy making. It's funny, like you mentioned the Cape and all that, and people from outside New England will look at a map of New England and say that is ridiculous. This is the tiniest little like crumb. We have folks from Texas who will look at our commutes and laugh, but honestly, like from Worcester to the Cape when it's busy, you're no exaggeration. That's going to be like 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
And it doesn't look like it, but what happens is the entire state funnels literally into one bridge.
Yep. That is true. It is one bridge.
Yep. And it's like everyone in the state is trying to get there at the same time. And it doesn't
He's trying to get in or out at the exact
Right.
same moment.
Yeah. So anyways, and the commute into Boston is the same. But yeah, so it's a customer care position. So SoftBank Robotics, some of the more international folks, if you're in Japan or France, Germany, you might have seen Pepper the robot. It's a little 4-foot tall humanoid robot. That kind of like does like customer service kind of stuff. Like tell people like there's a fleet of them that work at the Smithsonian right now, which kind of like tell people where exhibits are. There's a couple other more industrial robots that are coming up, but my job will be at least at the beginning, pretty much tech support. But tech support for robots is a lot more complicated. So instead of like 15 calls an hour, I'll probably be dealing with like 2 or 3 customers a day. So it's and maybe there'll be some travel involved in it shortly. So that'll be cool too.
Does his first call. He goes, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
Oh, heck yeah. Well, yeah, there's going to be a fair amount of that. And that's and that's the thing. These aren't, artificially intelligent. They're not smart robots. They're basically, at this point, kind of like puppets. They're basically, a bunch of pre-programmed responses and answers to things. There was one of them that was working at one of the hotels outside Disneyland in California, where basically its whole shtick was to sit there and dance and entertain customers, but also if you had questions about, what should I go see, or when is the parade, or things like that, it had those answers for you. The other kind of slightly cooler thing is the company I'm working for this summer, or but 6 months ago, I should say, they bought Boston Dynamics.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics. If you've seen those robots or those weirdly like animal looking, robots that kind of like move like real animals, and they're sort of way in the middle of the uncanny valley, that's Boston Dynamics. So there's a small but non-zero chance that I'll be hanging out with some of those bots in the future too. So
small but non-zero chance.
Yes.
So very small but not non-existent.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're in the neighborhood. It's like my area that I'm working on. I'm not actually going to be working with any of those robots or anything. I don't want to misrepresent that, but they are part of the same company and they're very close to where I'm going to be working. So
nice.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so that's what's going on. I hopefully that's not going to affect what I'm doing with the channel.
Yeah, hopefully.
We might have to we might have to reschedule things once I figure out what my commute is going to be like and all that.
We've always said real life comes first.
Yeah, but it is funny, like the whole change with like me being on the live show and you're switching the live show from the Tuesdays to Thursdays. Yeah. Because I always knew, well, at some point I'm going to get a job and I'm not going to be able to do that. Well, turns out timing worked out pretty nicely on that.
Pretty perfectly.
So,
yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
This has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I don't think other than you and Amanda, I don't think anyone was more hopeful for you getting a job than me. It's tough, man, because like what we've been waiting tables for a very long time.
Yes.
Right. And there's always this thing, and if you've ever waited tables, you've probably been through this yourself, where you're like, you get a job at a restaurant reluctantly, and you go, this is the last restaurant job I'm ever going to have. You go, I'm going to make sure that, when I leave here, it's to do something in my profession.
Yeah.
And you can only do that so many times until you're just like, you're brokenhearted, and you're just like, it becomes very, you get very defeatist, or you develop a defeatist attitude.
I've had three times in my life where like, this is my last restaurant shift ever. Yeah. And that's the rough thing with working in food service is once you get a job in food service, you will always be able to get a job in food service.
Right.
The problem is you will always be able to get a job in food service.
It's so easy to fall back on.
Yeah.
And for the restaurant that we both work at, it's, we're working for great people.
Yeah.
And the money's decent.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to say,
big time.
Yeah, the place we've been at is by far the best restaurant I have ever worked at, and not just like food quality. I mean, people quality. I mean, the way we're treated
but also food quality. It's so nice to drop food off at a table and not have to like keep your fingers crossed and be like, I really hope they like this.
Yes.
You drop food off with confidence and you go, enjoy. It's delicious, and it's always true.
Yeah.
Like you never have to worry about the kitchen, and so this really is the best restaurant job I've ever had. In leaving it, as I've been slowly doing over the course of the last year, is not going to be easy.
Yeah, one of our coworkers is like, does he even work here anymore?
No, really not.
Yeah.
No. I don't know if you guys know how much Without Parole pays, but it's nothing. so if you think, oh, Brian's leaving his restaurant job, he must be doing really well doing Without Parole. Nope.
No, it's just he just doesn't spend any money on anything like ramen and.
Yeah, I live about as cheap as possible, and luckily my mortgage is ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
My mortgage is like half as much as most people's rent. Although the condo fees, I don't know. Anyway, I live super cheap. If you guys can see on the Patreon page, I think it's $900 for Patreon a month. Between that and YouTube minus all fees, I'm basically living off of like $1,200 a month from the YouTube channel.
Wow.
So like I know some of you guys might be younger and not realize how little amount of money that is.
That's crazy.
But for anyone older and realizes how much money that is, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So when we say this channel lives and dies on Patreon support, we're not kidding.
No, we're not. This channel, Brian lives and dies on Patreon support.
Right. and if I don't have Patreon support, then I don't have a channel.
Yeah.
Because basically I could make $1,200 at the restaurant. Like I could just work every day at the restaurant and probably make that much. And so this is a prime example. We had a comment or two talking about maybe it's just one specifically that I'm thinking of. Somebody out there saying, oh, the reason you guys are doing a live show is for more super chat money. Yeah. And I was like, that's not the case.
No, that I mean, not to say anything bad about the people who give like the money during the live stream.
We appreciate
that's
it.
Fantastic. Every penny counts.
Yeah.
But that is such a small, like that's a little ding on, the Patreon support, the regular supporters. That's the bulk, and that's the most important support to us.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not to diminish those who do donate during the live streams and all that, because that is obviously a huge help as well. But that's not why we do the live show.
No, and that's not why we do the channel. The channel makes almost no money. I just want to remind everybody that we do this because we love it. Right? I love PlayStation VR. I think it's the way of the future. I think it's how video games are going to be played from here on out. I don't love video games anymore. I love VR.
Yeah.
Right. It's so few and far between that I play a non-VR game. I had to play a good chunk of Disaster Report 4 to unlock the VR sections.
Oh.
Like I literally had to play for 2 hours before the first section unlocked.
Oh, that's awful.
In the first section, you could blast through it in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, how do I get to the next VR section? Oh, I got to play more of the non-VR version.
What?
And it's fine. Why? It's not like a bad game, but I'm playing through a Japanese game with Japanese text and Japanese like voiceovers and cutscenes, and I'm like, this is not what I want to be doing right now. To review like 30 minutes of a VR experience. But yeah, I don't really play non-VR games at all anymore. Except for Splunky. Splunky's different. Splunky's awesome.
It's a way of life. It's not a game.
It's true. That's pretty much it. You got anything to add before we say adios?
That's it. I will promise if there's some way for me to show or demonstrate or anything like that, you guys, what it's like to work there, or maybe get some photos of behind the scenes or something, I will absolutely do that. But
Des is going to break NDAs his first week for you.
Yeah, there's some pretty substantial stuff I'm having to sign. Actually, I got a little worried. There was one thing in the employment agreement that basically said, not just, there's like a lot of tech companies, there's non-compete clauses, basically like you can't consult or do anything for another company in the industry. Mm-hmm. This one said you can't work for anyone else, period.
Well, luckily you don't get paid here.
Yeah, well, it's like question. So it's like, there's the whole fencing club thing. I don't want to totally give that, because that's actually one thing that I'm going to be giving up a lot of. Like right now, I'm there 4 days a week. And I'm going to be going down to just 1 day with 3 classes. Okay. And it's not something that I do believe Sid takes care of me way beyond what I'm worth. But so it's not about the money there. It's just I love teaching the class and all that, and that's all going to go away. So that's kind of a bummer. But I did want to say, is like, can I at least keep that? And they're like, oh yeah, we just have to put in there. There's basically a form you fill out that says, oh, you can, I want to work at this job still, and here's why it doesn't.
Did you have to tell them about the YouTube channel?
I haven't yet, but no, I mentioned it during the interviews. But it's not overlapping. We're not, as long as we don't talk about robots. Or review robots, I guess.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. All right. Well, again, congratulations. This is a big, massive life change. I hope it's nothing but amazing.
It's going to be a radical life change. Yeah.
Does that signal the end of the restaurant for you completely?
That remains to be seen.
Curious to see how that goes.
This is a conversation. Actually, I was supposed to have it with someone walking into work tonight, but as I was walking in, I get emails from my new employer that changed the situation. So now it's just like, all right, we got to go.
All right.
Figure stuff out.
All right. Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being amazing Patreon supporters. That conversation earlier, don't let it get past you. Don't ignore it. We value you.
Yes.
You are keeping this channel running 100%. You're the most. We love everybody. We love everybody who watches. We love everybody who comments. We love everybody who has anything to do with the channel, especially if you change your name to GameCat. But man, to actually like open your wallet every month and like
blows me away.
Hand us cash to keep this thing running is phenomenal. So thank you so very much for that. That's it. We love you so much.